Right? Great afternoon to you. Now, I want you to type, if you're hearing me in the chat, I want you to type, it is possible, and then drop a 441 if you are seeing the disclaimer there. Just want to make sure that you're hearing me. And then let me know where you're calling in from as well. Let me know where you're calling in from as well. Welcome, 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 everybody. Dagenham is coming. London is here. Tobago is here. Barbados, welcome. Ghana, West Norwood. Don't know where that is. London, welcome. Canada, welcome. Manchester is here. Romford, UK is in the building. Atlanta, Georgia, another Atlanta is in the building. Welcome, 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 everybody. Sweet TNT is here. Right. Well, we had a very interesting week last week when it came to the news and how things panned out. We didn't have that much action on Monday, even though there was some news. Let's share this. Right, so this is last week. Well, where we had the real action is in the interest rate decision on the AUD. Right, this was on Tuesday. Somebody type in the chat expectations. Expectations. There's a very important note here when it comes to expectations, right? Because no matter what the data says, that's right. If the market didn't expect something to happen, if something came as a bit of a surprise for the market, then the market will respond, right, in a certain way. And this is what happened on the AUD earlier this week, right? Now, everybody was hoping that it was going to be pushing up to 4.35%, and it did not, right? So you see here, it was worse than expected. Let's go to the AUD USD chart. And that caused that AUD to drop out of the sky, right? This was right here. You see, I've got this line right here, right here. Right here is when the news dropped. Well, let's go to half an hour. There we go. This one right here. So at 5:30 a.m. UK time, right there is where that interest rate decision dropped. And you could see how that interest rate decision had an effect on the market for the next 3 days, okay? Right? For the next 3 days, the market just continued selling off. Right? The expectation, it didn't come in as expected, and it just keeps selling and selling and selling. Boom, over 170 pips to the downside on that one. Right? And I know several of you was able to catch that and capitalize on that. The other thing is, I want you to type be aware. I want you to type be aware. Right? Be aware. And we want to be aware because a lot of people just ain't aware. Right? We need to know what's coming. And this is why we look at the market and see what's coming up. in the week ahead so that we could prepare ourselves for something, some sort of move to happen in the market. All right, so let's go a bit further down. We did have an interest rate decision on the pound, didn't we? So this week was, I'm sorry, last week was AUD. We did have interest rate decision on the pound right here. Okay. So it came in as expected, right? And so it didn't really have that great an effect. Okay, so remember we spoke about expectation. So what day was that? That was Thursday. Okay, so Thursday right here, right? The interest rate decision came in at 12 noon UK time. Right, so 12 noon UK time. Right here, okay. Let me just put a line, vertical line. Let's go down to the. All right, so yeah, it was up, it was down, it was all around. It came in as expected, and in fact, what actually happened is that sort of strengthened up the UK a little bit. Now, the UK is battling two things. One is the inflation, and then two is to prevent itself from actually getting into a recession. So it had to play things very, very carefully when it came to this interest rate decision. The reason why they raise interest rates is to cool down inflation. That's the main reason. Okay, but if you do it too fast or too heavy, then it could potentially cause a recession. And so there was a lot of debate on whether they're going to raise this by 50 basis points or whether it's going to be 25 basis points. I think the UK just found a happy medium and decided, you know what, let's just do 25% basis points. And I think that caused the, the market was expecting that as well. So it wasn't any sort of major move. But it caused a little bit of confidence to come back into the pound. Okay, so remember, we always trading confidence. We are trading how investors feel about certain things. So that's how we need to approach the markets. Now, we'll come back to this move, because this move happened the day after this move to the upside here. This came in because of the non-farm payroll. So again, this is now based on expectations. So it was expected that the amount of jobs that, or there would be an increase in the jobs for the US, right? It was expected that there would be an increase, but it was expected to be 200,000, right? So you can see here that 187 was better than the previous, but it was less than the expected. So we come back to this expectation again, right? So if it was expected to be 200,000, but it came in less than that expectation, then that caused the US to I would say temporarily weaken a little bit. And that's why we saw the US shoot up like crazy on Friday. But here's the crazy part though. Right? Here's the crazy part. Look at our command contour level right here. That thing traded to the pip from our command control level here and push to the upside. Now, my expectation was that it would actually push up to this command contour here and then drop off. But of course, because the figures came in, so for non-farm payroll, right, we had an extended push to the upside. But eventually, right, price dropped back off, and we're in a little bit of profit here at the moment, right? But I'm just looking at this. Like even if you were thinking, all right, you know what, well, maybe we will have a little bit of a pullback to this level. Look at that, to the pip. It's crazy. I mean, the same thing happened on I think NZD USD, if my memory serves me correctly. Right? Command contour level right here. Right, that's the beauty of having the command contour here in your pocket. Right? It did push up after that news. I think Euro USD was the same thing. Most of those US pairs. Look at that, to the pip. Crazy. To the pip. What else do we have? I don't think it happened on AUD USD. I think it missed it by a little bit. Yeah, it didn't pull all the way through. But yeah, that's just the power of this thing. But there we go. So something like gold, like CU USD. Could you explain the lines? So these are just significant and key price levels that the command contour will identify for you, so you don't have to look for them. So if we go back to Euro USD, for example, all right, so if you notice, so yeah, these are just key pricing levels that the command contour tool will seek out for you, so that you don't have to necessarily look for them to come up with any sort of trading idea. We generally would want to either trade off of command contour level, like here, for example, right up there, I mean, or one of the, or this pink line of a previous day, which is known as the fair price level. So you see price actually came up to that pink line right here, fair price level, and then dropped off. It did the same thing the next day. It came to the fair price level there, dropped off, even pulled back to command control level, dropped off, right? And this happens regularly, not necessarily every day. Look at what happened here. Price pushed up, it pulled back to your command control level right here, then pushed up. And then we had, this is something fundamental that caused this move to happen, right? So your command control levels are just your pricing levels for entry into the market. Right, this one here came up pretty close. We always want to trade about 3 to 5 pips in from the command control level anyways. So right here, right where price came up into that, so you would have thought that if you're biased for the sell anyways. And red is usually we potentially looking for a sell, and green here is usually we potentially looking for a buy. And you know, those colors would interchange every day. So every new day, every new session, every new day, you would have a command contour level here that will give you a significant pricing level, or you'll have a fair price level of a previous day, as here price came up into this fair price level and then dropped off, right? So that's just it, right? Remember, it's just only a tool for recognizing where your entry levels are going to be. That's all it is. We still have to do our due diligence in understanding what is happening fundamentally and sentimentally to give us an idea of the direction we want to trade in. And then we just jump on the chart and we look and we see our command control levels here, and usually that is where we want. So the fair price level is this pink line here. Okay. So if I zoom in a little bit, see this pink line here? That is your fair price level, this pink one. Your command control level is the red one, is this red one, or it will turn to green, right? Depending on how the market is trending. Okay. So right here, we have a green. Now, sometimes, like in this scenario, you see the fair price level and the command console level are at the same level. And look at that. That's basically to the pip, and then is pushed to the upside, right? So that's just it. That's just it. Okay. All right. So a very adventurous week last week. You know, the main things that pushed the market around were the interest rate decisions, and also that non-farm payroll. I don't think we had any did we have any CPI? Oh, we had something on the Swiss that caused the Swiss to weaken for a little bit. Right? We had something on the Swiss that caused the Swiss to weaken for a little bit, and we saw things like the GBP, Swiss franc, and all that push up. The GDP on the euro. I think that was the one that pushed the euro around last week. GDP growth was positive. But anyways, let's look to see what's happening this week. Right? Let's see what's happening this week. Right. And the talk of the day is always inflation at the moment, right? Inflation and interest rates. GDP is talk of the day as well, but the main talk of the day is the inflation. So this is going to be huge news for the US coming on Thursday. Okay. We do have an unemployment rate coming in for the Swiss franc. So potentially we could be seeing some movements here. We will do some fundamental analysis on this to see what sort of bias or direction that we potentially may want to go. So let's bring up something like a USD CHF. Okay. Let's reset the chart. Right. So this USD CHF has been interesting. So this is July. And since the beginning of August, it hasn't really gone anywhere, right? It hasn't really done anything. Right? Since the beginning of August the 1st till now, nothing much at all. So we'll see how this unemployment rate in the Swiss currency will do. I mean, the Swiss currencies or the Swiss economy is a very solid economy. It does really well. This is why it's considered one of the safe haven currencies. If there's any sort of instability or uncertainty in the market, the Swiss franc is usually a currency that investors like to trade in. Right? So we'll have a look at that in a bit more detail. Now, we do have the balance of trade. Again, we have to be careful here of what is expected, the consensus, right? So it's expected that the balance of trade would get better by 4 billion, right? 4 billion US, which should or could strengthen the US. But again, the figures will determine whether this is going to jerk the market, or not balance of trade. It's just how much of a trading deficit. This is really in terms of imports and exports into the US. And at the moment, the US is well, it's just a consumer-based economy. So it's like 60-something billion dollars in debt at the moment. Well, crazy. There we go. But the big one, right? The big one for the US this week is going to be on Thursday. Okay. So all you do, right? Just beware, because the market could just well and truly be setting itself up for this move here on Thursday. Sometimes it's even best to just sit on your hands and wait, but we're aware that on Thursday something big is gonna happen. And Friday is gonna be a big one for the pound, because it's GDP, right? Gross domestic product. It will give us a sense as to whether we're moving into a recession or we're not moving into a recession, right? And that will give investors confidence or lack of confidence to invest in the UK. So that's what we're looking for. That's what we're trading. All right. So all in all, a very interesting week. Oh, look at this craziness that happened on the US 30 on Friday. Again, sometimes you got to really take some of these news with a pinch of salt, because they use the news to manipulate the market. Look at what happened on US 30 on Friday, man. Right? So non-farm payroll happened right here, right? Price pushed up. I mean, it came quite nicely off of the command control level here, and it pushed up. But then later on, when nobody was looking and everybody was getting tired and fatigued, huge move, took away all the gains if you didn't take any profit anyways. Continuation to the downside. And we always looking for a sell-off on this US 30, thinking that the US is gonna be getting a little stronger. And again, look at how beautiful when the market actually turned, when the market was pushing up, it tapped our command control level here. We actually caught this one to the buy on the buy side. Right, we actually caught this one on the buy side here, but it just pushed to these highs, right? And then it dropped. But then look at what happened. It pulled all the way back to our command control level right here, right? Beautiful. Okay, if beautiful to the pip, right? No drawdown there at all. And then continue dropping, right? Then we had that crazy move to the upside, stop hunt. Caught both the buy and the sell. Sheesh. Hey, Perry, you're on fire. You are on fire. Well, I know you're always on fire anyways. Caught both the buy and the sell. Now that's serious right there. US oil was interesting as well, right? Because we've been biased for a buy on US oil. Then we had a massive drop off, right? So we caught a buy down here and it starts to push up and up and up. Then we had this massive drop off. I'm not quite sure why this happened, but it just totally recovered on Thursday and Friday to the upside. Right? Still pretty much biased for this US oil to continue pushing up. I wouldn't even look for an entry, but if but if we are ever going to look for an entry, there is gonna be somewhere in this area. Look for a pullback. And then a push to the upside again on this US oil. Right, so we're going to have a command control level formed right around here. It's not formed just yet. When the market opens up, it will show up. Right, but you know, is nice. It's nice to have, especially when you have a really strong bias to the upside. Look at we look at how this oil trended beautifully, and when the market is trending beautifully, then it gives you some really nice places to enter. You always have an entry with the command contour. That's the beautiful thing, right? You always have an entry. So say, for example, right here, right? Even this one, we had a green, right? Price came back into that level, it pushed up, right? It pulled back. Now it didn't come all the way down to this level, but then when it pushed up the next day, boom, command control level right here to the pip again. There we go, right? To the pip. And then it continued pushing up. Right, it pushed up. It didn't pull back all the way to the level, but it pushed. And even if you missed that entry down there, just had to be patient with it sometimes, right? You got that entry, and it pulled back down to that same level, right? Then pushed up, right? Came back to this level, pushed up, had a big fall for whatever reason. Something fundamental happened in the news, and then recovery. Okay. Right. So many times, even here as well. So many times you're able to get in to the pip. Right. Again, it's not gonna happen every day, but the opportunities are there, right? So this is why we have created this tool to make it easier to get an entry into the market. Okay. Now, we are going to have another onboarding session, PPI. Oh, we have PPI on Friday as well. Right. So I would say now, just make a list of the important news that's coming this week. And that is Monday, the CHF, Tuesday, the US, on Thursday. So nothing majorly on Wednesday. Thursday, the US, and Friday, the GBP. Okay. Okay. So that would be our majors for this week. Oh, let me just run through a trade we were looking at. And this is the reason of somebody was talking about the or somebody's asking a question about command control version 5, which is this one at the moment. I actually have the bulls and bears turned off, but you could actually turn that on, right? So we could turn on the bulls and bears feature right here. And when you turn that on, then you're able to see the bulls and bears coming into the market. We actually do have a bulls and bears strategy within the community, so they could actually use these to enter the market. You could actually set an alert on these as well, right? So if you just go to add an alert here, right, and you choose your command control version 5, you could set the bulls and bears. So you can see whenever the bears show up, you've got to be conscious of the time frame that you're on as well. So you don't want to set it too much of a low time frame, because you'll be always getting an alert, but you don't want to set it too much of a higher time frame. So the 1 hour is a sweet spot. 4 hour is where the strategy is actually based on, right? So you get a nice strong move to the upside or downside. So you could set bulls or bears as an alert, and that will give you an alert on your phone or on your trading view or in your email, whichever one you choose, right? And just hit create, and that will give you an alert in here. But you notice, like, whenever we have a good strong bulls on, say, for example, like a 4-hour time frame, if we're looking at that, then we usually get a nice, strong, solid move to the upside. Okay. Right here, we have a bulls here. There's no bears that came back in on the 4-hour time frame. So we should just be concentrating on buying for now until we get some sort of bears coming on the 4-hour time frame. That's how we could play that one, right? But this is just technical analysis, right? Just remember that is just technical analysis. That is not necessarily based on any fundamental anything, but it still gives you something to play with, right? Even this bulls here was beautiful, and then it came back and tapped the command contour, boom, and we have that continuation to the upside. So we have the bulls and bear strategy inside of the community there as well. All right. So for those of you who started this week, we do have the onboarding session that is going to happen in 20 minutes at the top of the hour. For those of you who want to get cracking, right? Just be sure to get in on your CC right here. You could go down, choose whichever you want to get, and you could get on that session tonight, so you get to understand the command contour philosophy and way with our onboarding coach, who is absolutely killing it right now. And he's very patient with you to answer your questions regarding the command contour philosophy and how you can get in there. So yes, definitely get on that session. Usually that session is for new people, but usually even the older folks jump onto that session to ask questions and get some clarity. All right. So that will be posted within the community. And once you get started, you will be able to get on that call. That's going to happen in 20 minutes time. So as always, I'm wishing you best of luck in your trading. Remember, we're trading to be the last man standing and not the first to a million. So we still need to manage our risks appropriately. All right. And that's how you stay in the game forever. Right. I'll see you guys really, really soon. And I wish you a fantastic week of trading. Bye-bye for now.